Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is your friend, your mentor, here to talk to you. And here we have a beautiful and very smart person, Sarah White. Right? Is that correct? Right? White? No,
Yep.
right. Sarah accepted my invite to be part of this webinar, and she's going to share her knowledge and experience around balancing the resources and team management, team well-being. So we're going to talk about it. But prior to that, I'd like to thank you for joining these sessions, and every week by week or month by month, you are joining. Many people I can see they're coming again. Okay, Sarah, let's talk about you. You coming with the project management experience and program management experience, and somebody industry I never thought about, but actually very specialized bicycle component. Your company makes mountain bikes, or what kind of bikes you making?
We make all kinds of bikes. So anywhere from bikes that you commute to work on or around town to high performance mountain bikes, high performance road bikes that you see in the Tour de France. And then you're kind of like every day, I just want to try biking bikes. So it's
Yeah.
it's the whole range. And then my team, I work specifically on the wheel team. So any wheel that goes on any of those bikes, I am managing that project and that whole department as a program.
Yeah. So, and do you have to have a passion to ride bicycle, or anybody can join?
Really anyone can join. It does help if you like to ride bikes because you're working on bikes. We do have some field testing that needs to happen, so sometimes we'll go out and ride some prototype bikes together, and it's good for like team morale and culture too. So it's a very fun job.
Right, right, right. And so you're based out of Morgan Hill in California, beautiful
Yep,
part of
based
the
in
world.
Morgan Hill, and we have offices in Europe, in Switzerland, and then also in Taiwan and in Vietnam.
Hmm. And you also noticed that you are COO of Simply Tiny Development, registered
Yes,
nurse.
yes, I have a very interesting path to where I landed today. Initially, I was doing nursing. That was I wanted to give back and I wanted to help people. And over time, I got burnt out. I started a business developing tiny homes for low income housing for a county in Minnesota. Um, in doing that, I kind of developed my project management experience in the construction context. And then nursing was that more like people skills, empathy side of project management. Over time, I got to like kind of a tipping point of do I commit fully to nursing? Do I commit fully to my company? Or do I do something completely different? I kind of explored all three paths in parallel, and this job at Specialized was the one that I ended up choosing. So I sold my business and I put a pause on nursing. Maybe I'll go back eventually, but I have an active license, but I'm currently not nursing. Um, and I've been at Specialized for almost 3.5 years now. And my time here has been no day is the same, which I really enjoy. I started off as just a project manager, managing individual projects for the wheel team, and then as needs developed and our complexity evolved, I started taking on more responsibility and I became a senior project manager. And then things got a little more technical. And so now my title is a senior technical project manager. Um, the application of that, though, it kind of there's like a gray area between program management and project management. I do some project management by managing those individual wheel projects if the complexity warrants someone of my level. If it's a lower level, lower complexity project, then like the engineering team will manage that project. But then that's where the program management comes in, where there's some projects where I'm owning them and I know what's going on, and there's other projects where I have a more high level visibility and I'm operating more in like a governance escalation kind of context. But overall, I'm responsible for all of the wheels. Um, but my ability, or not my ability, my like in-depth knowledge for the projects varies.
Yeah, great. Thank you for sharing. And somebody asked, do you have a discount code for bike?
If you work here, you get pretty good discounts.
And yeah, he is based out of UK, so there you go. Anyway, so look, if there is a discount code, we can talk about. But I have given one discount code if you are interested in my programs. If you look at the chat, I have given a discount code which can be applied to anything, any programs. So take a note of that. Why not? And that's my gift for attending this program. Okay, Sarah, you did PGMP on 17th June 2024, just before my birthday. That was my birthday gift. Can you talk about your strategy to get your PGMP done?
Yeah, I'm a very motivated, ambitious person. So as soon as I ended my PMP exam, I automatically was like, "What's next?" And so I had my sights set on the PGMP. I didn't really know what I was getting into when I started. I knew that it would be valuable long term to have the PGMP certification for the career path I had chosen. Um, and I went to a PMI volunteer session back in, I think, November, like almost a year ago.
Yeah,
And I talked to a few people there who had their PGMP certification, and everyone recommended Durham. And so I said, I can't go wrong here. It seems like this is the path I need to go. So I think I started our course in like January or February.
yeah,
Um, I knew, just given how my projects were looking at the time, that I really had a 6-month window to get this done before work started getting a lot busier. So I had my finite deadline, and I knew that I needed to study and really commit to doing the program and like keeping up with it. Um, I I'd say I did like 80% of like what I wanted to do, compared to what I did with my PMP and like how much I studied. I did have some work trips come up that made me study a little bit less. But ultimately, I think I was very prepared. I started taking the test, and I was like, is this real? Like, this seems easier than I expected, because the practice tests were so challenging. So that was a pleasant surprise. And I did, I think, a practice test like once a week for 3 weeks after the program ended. Um, and I think that cadence was really good. And I spent some time reviewing what questions I got wrong and what categories I was really struggling with. Because there's some categories that I didn't have experience with in my current role. So I really had to flex up in those areas. Um, and overall, like, I took the test and I passed in my first try. I was very happy with how prepared I felt, and I do think I studied like enough, just with the program and then the little bits of studying on the weekend plus the practice tests. So I felt very prepared.
yeah. And you did the my exam simulator. You find that them difficult, and
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. Exam simulator is a must.
yeah. And yesterday, one of my other student has passed the exam, and his feedback was exactly the same. That your exams, some of the exams are difficult,
Hmm.
my feedback, like, if I give you easy exam and you go to the exam, you find difficult question, then you look around, what the question. But now, when you already challenge, when you see the real exam, find like walking the park. That's the way I
Hmm.
like to see. So
Yeah,
thank you for trusting me throughout the journey, and it's great working with you, and seeing the results, and you come out at the first of the group, and you did really well.
thanks.
Yeah, that was actually my gift on 17th June. You passed exam. My birthday was 20th June. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I have set of questions. I will be asking those questions, and I do have a couple of questions which we got at the time of registration. Please feel free to write your questions, and we'll bring those questions at the right time. And I have shared a couple of links. If you are preparing for PgMP PfMP, you can go through those links. Although the links are the videos I have a little bit old now, because and 3-4 years, things have changed a lot. But if you have specific question, you can always ask me. I have also shared 2 YouTube channels. So one of the channel where I have all this video with Sarah will also go there. So all the previous 200 plus 200, 250 videos are there, with my discussion with them. So you like to learn from them. Some of the video can also give you any recording I've done last 1 year, not any, but most of the recordings I have done as a webinar. You can earn PDUs, one PDU from every webinar. So watch as many as you can, and feel free to ask question, and feel free to register my time. Registering my time is easy. Just say talk to Dharam. Actually, the www.talktodharam.com. You have my 15 minute, and we can talk pretty much anything. Of course, PgMP PfMP. Okay, so my question, the topic today we are talking here, balancing resources and team well-being. Balancing the team and their well-being in the high-stake projects, because in an often time we get so busy and running around, get the things done, we forget about team. We think about the deadline, we think about the stakeholders, shareholders, but what about the team? So that's where we are here. Go to ask questions. I will ask questions, and Sarah, please feel free to answer your questions. So, what strategies from your wealth of experience have you found effective in maintaining team morale and productivity during prolonged high pressure projects?
So developing bikes is not an easy task. There's a lot of conflicting resource needs and deadlines and competitors coming out with different products that you're trying to integrate. So pretty much every project we have is a high pressure project, it feels like. And one thing that I've created with our team from the beginning is a culture of we are a team. Having this culture of we're in it together, and you're not alone in your workload or in what you're trying to accomplish, really helps you feel like you're supported, and that you can balance your workload together, and that if you do need help, you can ask for it, and you know that someone will be there to support you. One way to kind of do this is to leverage your T-shaped teammates. So a T-shaped teammate is someone who has a skill set that they specialize in, but then they also have other skills that they can still kind of pick up the slack if they need to. One example of this would be like an engineer who also can do quality checks or like some kind of testing. So they might not do the quality and the testing all the time, but they at least have that skill set to pick up the slack when other teammates have a higher workload. Sometimes, obviously, that doesn't go according to plan, and pressure does kind of get overrun, and so morale gets low. When that happens, I try to understand the people who are experiencing this pressure and understand the team and where that low morale is originating from. I do this by just like talking to people, um, understanding like their nonverbal communication and knowing what their baseline is, and then you can kind of understand like, oh, you're different than normal, so let's dig into that as to why and like see what's going on. Usually it'll be something related to like priorities are challenging, or there's conflict between leadership or something like that, and then we kind of dive into addressing those problems, and that typically improves morale. At a minimum, even just having that conversation and saying like, hey, I recognize that you're going through a hard time right now, and I'm here for you, and I'm listening, like even that helps quite a bit. One other strategy that I have is I call it slow down to speed up. If you have like a testing failure or something big that happens that causes a big delay in timelines, or you need to do a big shift in your project, not making a decision in that moment. So, like I try to wait a day or two and kind of let those emotions calm down with the whole team. And then you can start making a decision and planning from that more grounded state. If you end up making a decision immediately, sometimes you'll kind of be scrambling and making too many plans in parallel, or you're trying to do all these things to solve the problem that might not actually get you to the finish line in the most efficient way.
Yeah, I like the strategy, not taking the decision at the moment, because when it's heated and everybody is under pressure, rather take a step back and okay, take your time, relax, and then come back with a plan. Like let's see what else we can do, learn from the
Yeah.
lesson. Whatever happened, we're going to do differently and get the results. Great, good, good. Love to work with manager like this. Why not? Who really looking after the team members, actually thinking from their point of view. That's the emotional intelligence. You know,
Hmm.
what's going with them and feeling their pain, and then adjust the strategy or discussion with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the teammates, they're people. Like everyone's here to like, yeah, you want to get a paycheck, but you still have to work together every day, and you're still trying to accomplish the same goal together. And if you have that respect and understanding together, like you can do anything. But if you're just, hey, I need you to get this job done right now, like that's not, no one feels good doing that.
Exactly. And sometimes it's, as a leader, as a project manager, program manager, you build a team and you like to stay with them for a long time. And if they don't like you, they will run away. But if they know that you are as a manager, project manager, program manager, you're looking after them. They like to work for you or work with you for a long time. That's the power of a relationship. Great job. Thank you for sharing. All right. Can you discuss when you had to pivot your project management strategy to support your team's well-being better?
So it seems like this happens a lot here. Our projects span like 2 to 3 years, sometimes even 5 if we're doing a big R&D initiative. Um, Over that time, you can have changes in the economy, you can have changes in executive leadership, changes in company priorities, new technology that comes out. Like there's all kinds of reasons that you would pivot your project, and we unfortunately have to deal with this quite a bit. So we're pretty good at this on my team. Um, One example, I was working on a project with a different set of teammates. It was for a different product, and leadership for that project team wanted to run the project a little differently than what my current team does. Um, they were under the impression that having a detailed timeline would limit the like flexibility and ability for engineers to be creative and manage their own time,
Mhm.
which in theory sounds great. Um, in reality, there are some drawbacks with that strategy. Typically, if you give a task 2 weeks to get done, it will take 2 weeks, even if that task is really only like a 4 hour task. So we ran into that a little bit. That caused some delays, and people were getting frustrated that their deliverables that were dependent on others weren't getting done. So there was some like team conflict that was happening. Um, and I recognized that this was going on and there was confusion and delays, and we needed to do something that needed to change. Um, I had to have an honest conversation with that group of leaders and explain to them what was going on and the impacts it was having on the project, and then my proposal of what we should do to change. At this point in the project, it was too late to go back to like a fully detailed timeline structure. So we ended up settling on like a compromise of having more milestones instead of just the 7 phase gates we have throughout a project. That definitely helped. It gave people some goalposts to try to work towards. Um, and we started hitting our deadlines pretty consistently, and people were pretty happy. I think it was a good case study, though, to just try new things too. I try to be open minded about different strategies to do things because sometimes the way that I do it might not be the best way.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, let's give this a try and see what happens. And luckily, we pivoted before it became too much of an issue. Um, but I kind of knew that wasn't going to work out.
That's good. I mean, as a project manager, you have to try different things.
Yeah,
You may have particular strategy when you start, things are not working out. Let's try something else.
yeah.
At the end of the day, the result matters, and the your benefit to the organization and the objective have been met or not. How you get there, of course, nobody will look back that much, but you have the journey and you go through the journey with the team members. So you need to align yourself, looking after each other, and be there together.
hmm And that's so in nursing, there's something called the art and the science of nursing. The science of nursing is like your actual like meds that you're giving and like the application of your nursing. The art
Yeah.
of nursing is like how you interpret that and how you take care of the patient and like your execution of it. And that totally applies to project management too. Like there's a way on paper that you should be running a project, but the way that you actually apply it and you're flexible and you work with that team, like that's totally like person like the individual owns that. That's why like I love project management for that reason. Like no day is the same, and like you can do a project and then try to do the same project and it will turn out totally differently just because the environment's different.
Oh yeah, yeah. Every day can be different because the way things are happening, stakeholder behaving, team member behaving, some challenges, this and that,
hmm
and that's a interesting part of the project management. While a lot of challenges, deadlines, pressure, but how you move around and navigate through and still get the results, that's where the interesting part or exciting part of the project management. And one thing you mentioned about that reminded me, and that can be my time for sharing knowledge here. You talked about if you give the team a week, and they're going to take the week instead of the 4 day, 4 hour, which the idle time. And that's where there's a actual theory in project management, Parkinson's theory,
hmm
if you remember that. So actually, I had a question in my exam when I was doing my exam. So that's why I remember. Okay, maybe it's a time for give some tip for the people. Great, thank you for sharing. Okay, my next question. Okay, according to PMI survey, effective resource management is the key to project success. How have you leveraged resource management tools to achieve project goals?
So when I first started here, we didn't really have resource management. It was more based on feel of I feel like I can do this work or I can take this on. Um, as our team grew, as the project complexity grew, we started realizing that that wasn't going to work anymore. And so I started working on modeling in Excel, of trying to quantify workloads and things like that. And then one challenge we had was that the model, this like in Excel, it didn't communicate with our timelines in real time. So I knew that that was a feature that I needed in whatever tool that we were going to use.
Yeah,
Um, I vetted a lot of different options, and we settled on using Smartsheet. We onboarded Smartsheet for timelines and for resource management, and we've been using it for almost 2 years now. Um, and they've come out with some additional functionality, which has been helpful with resource management. Um, and I think it's been pretty effective. It's really nice to be in a meeting and able to just say like, oh yeah, like this person's available for this task that just came up. Um, or we have an issue with testing or something, some failure happens and we need someone to pivot. Like you can see who's available to do that. Um, you can also, I've also been tracking KPIs through Smartsheet, and there's good reporting and like a high level executive overview of what's going on, which has been really helpful. Um, and one other main benefit of this, now that we're doing resource management, is that we can advocate for additional staff. If you don't have data to back up why you need another person or two, then no one's gonna say yes. So it's a lot more helpful to to say why you need those people and what projects are affected if you don't get those people.
exactly. So having a tool, which is fully, and if you have a tool which is already connected with number of projects, like the resource allocation, you can see them together, and which project is delayed and which project is coming early. So accordingly, you can manage your resource allocation.
Hmm.
So, investing into the right tool is very, very important for an organization.
Yeah.
If you're relying only on the Excel spreadsheet, which many companies still relying on, it's a waste. You're wasting so much energy, so much the people's time, or maybe overloading. Sometimes without realizing you're overloading your team members, and you're not appreciating that because you don't see that.
Yeah.
So having the right tool will definitely a game changer. It's an enabler for you. So invest into the right tool, which can give you visibility, each members when they're on leave, when they're going to take training, and when which program project they are allocated, what they're going to do next, their leave plans, grow, and also other things like SWOT, like strength, weakness, and other things they can do to improve themselves. Good.
Yeah, one challenge we had with Excel was it was right, like it was accurate in the moment that we made it,
Yeah.
and then even by the next day it was wrong. And I just spent all my time updating the Excel model and not actually using the information to like advocate for anything.
Yeah, I mean, Excel is static, unless you change, it's nothing will change. And somebody has to come and input, okay, my project is released. Okay, now let's update again. Then
Yeah.
by the time you update, something else happened. You
Yep.
know, that's where having a real-time system which can give you feedback at that moment, any delays and early, what can we do, benefit out of this, this availability of information. As you said, data is the king, and having right data and information out of that data is very important for you. Great. Good, good. So, how do you measure the impact of resource allocation on project outcome and team satisfaction?
So I've changed how I track this since I started doing it and then what I do now. Initially, I tried to measure it based on KPIs and resource allocation and the utilization of each resource, project delivery efficiency, that kind of stuff. It's hard to track those. Um, I think my main metric that I've noticed that really like led to me being like, oh, this is working, was just talking to teammates and having them tell me like I feel less overloaded with work now. I feel like I have there's still volatility in their utilization, but it seems more stable now. which that was the ultimate goal. That was the whole reason we wanted to do resource management. So I think like it's a win. It's definitely a win in that regard. Um, for like higher level leadership, they do want those KPIs, so that is still being tracked. Um, the challenge with that though is with utilization, you never want a like one person to be at 100% utilization. You want them to be around like 80% so that they can flex up if something happens and they need to kind of be in an all hands on deck situation. Seeing 80% instead of 100% is a hard thing to grasp when when you're asking for more people to hire, but then you see someone at 80%. So there's been some like re-education there with leadership, but I'd say ultimately like it's going well, and the team is very positive feedback from them too.
Yeah, 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 perfect. Okay. All right. So, how have you integrated agile principles into your resource management practices?
So currently our methodology, we use hybrid and then agile for a little bit for our R&D development. Um, so the main agile principles that we use: deliver value early and often. Our first customers are the bike teams. It's the people designing the bikes. They're the ones that will test the prototypes and give us feedback on what we need to change. So getting them involved early in our process is really important. We like to have prototype samples for them so that they can interact with them and then kind of see them and get excited. That really helps our team morale. See that like, oh, what we're working on is motivating for them, and like we're all kind of excited about the same thing. Um, we also welcome change. As I said earlier, we pivot a lot, so we need to be comfortable in that more volatile environment. The bike industry and Specialized is constantly evolving. Usually, when we start a project, things do not look the same at the end of the project. There's also regulatory rules that change over time. Competitors launch a new product, or one of our suppliers develops a new technology that we want to roll out across our whole platform. So we have to be able to adapt quickly and kind of welcome those change moments. We also try to have a sustainable development. With resource management, that's a big one. We want the workload to be manageable. We don't want people to burn out. We want to be able to have time to go ride our bikes and want to come back to work the next day and be excited about the work that we're doing. And you can't do that if you're just constantly foot on the gas, going full speed.
Exactly. Yeah, very interesting. So, your projects are agile projects, or you're using some principle from agile?
So the R&D phase, we do sprints. We try to go through and iterate and fail very quickly.
Okay.
Once we go through that process and we have a general direction, that's when we start a more predictive waterfall methodology.
Okay. Most of the projects I've seen, there are IT projects when you build an app or website, but you're talking even the designing R&D you're doing. That's where you're also applying agile principles,
Yeah.
and you have daily scrums and discussion and yeah, yeah, good, good stuff. Okay, okay. Next question. How do you proactively identify and address root causes of stress within your project team, to ensure a balanced and productive work environment?
So biggest thing here, know who you're working with. Know your teammates, know know what their baseline is, like I said earlier. If you know who they are as people, you'll be able to pick up on these signs of stress or when there's a change in behavior. I like to have regular check-ins. I do weekly one-on-ones with most of my teammates,
Yep.
even just to see how they're doing, like how they're doing in life and how they're doing with work. I have a standard set of questions I always ask them about their workload and kind of like how things are going with them. Um, and even just having someone to talk to really helps. Just, hey, I didn't even know I was feeling this way, but it's great that I have someone to talk to about this, and it's kind of just coming out now. Like that also happens a lot. Um, when you're having those discussions, make sure that you're picking up on nonverbal communication, because even if someone is saying that they're okay, they might have some like more closed off behavior, like their heads down, they're not making eye contact, their like body is more kind of closed.
Mm.
Um, those things can really tell you there's something more to this story than just the words that are coming out of their mouth. Um, This can be especially true with hard topics or things that um, might be like a little more difficult to talk about. I also like to ask questions and be curious. Just figure out what's going on with these people. Recognize these issues are early, or
Yeah,
recognize the issues early to minimize the impact on projects. Ultimately, your goal is to deliver the projects on time, but you're still working with people, and like the people matter. And you're not going to have the project if the people aren't there to do the work. Um, so I like to focus on the people first, and then the project will kind of work itself out once you get to that point.
yeah,
Once I understand what's going on and the cause of the stress, I'll figure out a plan to mitigate it. Whether that's having a conversation with leadership, adjusting priorities, reworking timelines, whatever I need to do to try to resolve that cause of stress. I try to work through that with the teammate.
yeah. I mean, not knowing about your staff member, observing their behavior, not only what they say, and it's also how they say, what their body language talk. When you observe, you can see the body language, and gives you a lot of indication. This person is not right. He's normally very excited all the time, running around, getting things, but today is not. Either he's sick or maybe something else going on. So talking to the person one to one, never talk in public. Talk to the person in public, in a one to one, and understand more. Show the empathy. What's going on. I notice there's something not right, and understand. They have to have confidence that you are the right person to talk. You are the manager. If you say for the sake of just talking, no, it's not going to work. But if you really feel for them, really want to help them, then they open up and discuss with you, and that's where the bonding happens. They know you're the right person to talk, and you are helping. And when the time comes, when your project is not in the right direction, they say, "Don't worry, I'm here for you," and they actually get it done. And I tell you one, it's your session, but let me tell you my example here. This is my team sitting in Manila. I was working in Sydney, working for HP, and my team is in Manila, Philippines. They are the technical people. They are great. They came to Australia, Sydney. I spent 1 2 days, few days with them, and I know these are great people. But one of the person, his productivity was going down. He's not able to give me what I was expecting. And then I was talking to him one day. So, look, what's going on? And after, he said that normally I'm in two shifts. Sometimes I have to go in three shifts. So I'm not get to see my family for many, many days. When I go home, my son is sleeping before all this thing. And he literally started crying and said, "Look, I cannot do much what is happening in your home in this situation, but I can tell you, I can assure you, I will talk to my manager and see if I can do something with your working hours." So next day I talked to my manager, "Hey, Bob, this is a very important project, and we cannot have people, burning out because of this." He said, "Dharam, leave it with me. Let me do something." And he talked to the HP Manila head of those people, and then next day he said, "Dharam, these people are working only in a shift." And this person said, "Dharam, I know you did a lot to me. Ever and at any time the project in trouble, you don't have to worry at all. You just trust me or trust the team." And exactly, they helped me when the project was running behind the time, and I don't know what to do with it. Don't worry. We will go home when this finished. So that's how you build a relationship with them. And these small discussion, small help to each other can go a long way. So work with them. Actually, they are your. Without them, you cannot do much.
Mhm.
You have all kind of certificate, PMP, PgMP PfMP, all nothing unless they are there for helping you, and you are there. You work as a team, right? Okay. Are you going to talk about managing global team? Do you have any experience in global team?
Yeah.
And where we headed, that's where it is. So, do you want to talk about experience in managing or engaging with your team?
Yes. So currently my team spans three time zones. We have, I'd say, like half our team or maybe a third of our team in the US, and then we have one teammate in Europe, and then we have majority of our team is in Asia. Um, so at any point in time, their two teams are awake. and working together, but we're never awake all at the same time, um, which can create its own challenges. I'd say our biggest issues that we have are we struggle with communication, since we can never have a meeting where all three of us are, or all three time zones are awake at the same time. Um, and so we have to work to mitigate that. So one thing that we've done is we have clear sources of truth and clear documentation. So for every project, every thing that needs to get done, there's a clear document. People know where it is. People know who owns that document. And that's the source of truth to trust. If you're in a meeting with someone from Asia and they say like, oh, the person in Europe said this in a meeting, if the source of truth isn't updated, you go off the source of truth. That's a team culture thing to develop, to be able to trust that source of truth. It definitely took time to build that, but we're at a place now where that is what we use. Um, I also find that sometimes you just need to travel, and sometimes you just need to be all together. Um, and if you have big problems to solve, or you're starting a new project and there's a lot of big questions, having that 1 week together where you can do whiteboard sessions, you can brainstorm, you can even just like build that team morale and like bond together, that can go such a long way. Um, One other thing that we've also created that's been really helpful is a clear escalation pathway.
Mm.
So if there's a testing failure in Asia, then the Asia team knows, oh, this happened. I need to either wait to hear back from the US team before I move forward, or this happened within my parameters. I can make a decision to do the next step. We had a lot of issues with rework initially that led to us creating this escalation pathway, where people would take initiative, which we love, but they would take initiative and they would kind of go too far down that path, and then it ended up being the wrong path, which cost money and time. So having this escalation pathway really helped us kind of put parameters on that. It sounds like this person isn't already established as a global team, so it will take some time to figure out what your team needs to work together well. There's going to be some learnings. There will definitely be a learning curve through this process. But if you start thinking about these things right now, you can at least set up some system before you actually get to that global stage.
Great. Um, and another thing is, because you're working virtually, you don't see them working with you. Basically, you just have to rely on most of the time when they come to the Zoom meeting. Some of them they don't even share the camera, and
Mhm.
you don't know exactly what's going on. So it is good as a project manager, program manager, to have them, talk to them more often, not just always work, and talk about, something, what's going on, what is happening, what any holiday plans, just casual talks as well. People are more open when you talk to them casually, not just always work. This manager always talk about when delivery dates. They just they block, not blocking, but they don't open up with you. But and given that sometimes it can happen that person, they're working from home and they don't go out anywhere. They just sit in front of computer. That's the anxiety level, pressure, stress, all goes up, and that has dangerous impact to many people. So, as a manager, especially in the remote locations, you should talk to them more often, invite them if possible, as a co-location, some together, meeting or whatever. And even in meetings, you just don't talk about work. Okay, let's talk about something. Share about your holiday plan. What did you do? I heard that you were in cruise. Talk about that. People get excited. Okay, and more involvement, more engagement.
And there's also cultural differences too. And like what Durham's saying is really valid when it comes to cultural differences. The way that US teammates work and um, our like intensity about work is different than other cultures. And that was something that I had to learn when working with Asian teammates. Their culture, like they work very hard, but the way that they approach work is like a much more respectful and like calmer demeanor, which is amazing. Um, and like I learned from them that like it's possible to still get a lot done and be more grounded in how you do that. So there's definitely some cultural learnings too, depending on what different cultures you're working with, and if you know the people already and they're just moving somewhere, or if it's a totally new culture and a new language that you're trying to learn that accent, that's definitely a factor as well.
Yeah. And we consider, like, when I was working with HP, my team manager was in US, and he used to have meetings, and that was 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning, my time in Australia at the time, and said, can you have a meeting which is maybe late evening for you or early morning for me? At least that give me opportunity to be part of that. And he just said, Dharam, you don't have to attend the meeting. So look, if I don't attend the meeting, I don't feel part of the team. So
Hmm.
he should have said, okay, well, once in a, out of 4 meetings, we can have one meeting with early morning uh, for you, and early morning or late night for us. So sometimes we have to adjust according, not, and it's sometimes it's hard when you work in our time zone. You don't see what's happening in other part of the world, and you have to think from, oh, this person is 3 o'clock in the morning. How can I expect him to be? You need to think, because we are in a global environment, we need to think from different angles. And when you think, the people, oh yeah, this manager is really considering my whatever we are going through. That's where the difference is. Anyway, so let me take another question here. What are the main differences of qualities and activities in team management for project managers and program managers?
So I'll start with project manager. Um, Typically, a project manager is one project and one project team. You might have multiple projects that you're managing, but typically it's just one project and one project team. Um, you're working through that project together with this one project team, and you're in the day to day with them. You're focusing on motivating the team to execute the work. You're addressing conflicts between teammates, ensuring milestones and deliverables are met, ensuring that you're within scope and meeting your budget. You're monitoring team morale and how that's affecting productivity and just making sure the team is staying on track. But it's very focused within that one project. The program manager side of it is you're tracking multiple projects or programs with multiple teams. So it's like one level above what that project manager is doing. Um, you're focusing on removing blockers from the project manager, like if there's conflict with leadership or priorities, or you need additional resources, or there's conflict within the program team. That's where the program manager is managing that team. Typically, the program manager will only get involved in the project if issues are escalated, or if they're brought to the governance committee and they need to be addressed at that level. This kind of goes back to what I said earlier with the escalation criteria with my team. You have escalation criteria within a project, and if things go outside those criteria, then it would get escalated to the program manager and the governance committee. Um, but otherwise, the project manager is operating within those parameters to make decisions and drive the project forward. Um, yeah, the program manager is a higher level than a project manager in like the project program portfolio manager hierarchy. The program manager is in the middle, working with that portfolio manager, and then also working with the project manager when needed.
Exactly. And thing is that the project managers are the one doing the job.
Yeah.
Getting the things done. Doesn't mean program manager is not. Program manager is more like a coordinating among these various teams you are working, various project managers working together. So the most of the team members are directly working with the project managers. They have kind of a responsibility, and the program manager is responsible towards these project managers, looking after the project managers and the team members within your program. That's the main difference here. The project managers, if they are working with the team member, they look after them, and if required, they escalate to the program manager. If you said escalation, a program manager may escalate to the sponsor and to the portfolio manager. So that's what I can see. And I don't have any more questions left. And that means we can finish in few minutes. But any question you have regarding the discussion we had today, or anything about PgMP, PfMP, where Sarah's experience around the PgMP, or anything like that, please feel free to put your questions. Happy to take them. And if you like to stay connected with me or talk to me, you know how to talk to dharam.com, www.talktodharam.com. And Sarah is also available on LinkedIn. So, she's open to network with you guys. Anything you want to discuss with her. And yes, if you want to have a maybe possibility of a discount code, uh, for the mountain bike, why not? Who knows? That small LinkedIn connection can give you some dollar saving. I don't know if that's a possibility at all.
We do get family and friend discount codes towards the end of the year.
Oh, we are
So
we
who
are
knows?
part of family. There you go.
Yeah, yeah, part of my family. So yeah, message me on LinkedIn, see what happens.
Exactly, exactly. Look, there are so many people around. LinkedIn, find the right people. Of course, you connect with me. If you're not connected, I'm sure you're connected. But thing is that keep learning from each other and keep growing. So we are here to bring knowledge, and soon I will be talking to another person. And actually, next week I am running a webinar talking about the new changes happening in ACP, Agile Certified Profession. So anybody is preparing or a team members preparing for an ACP or like to be, happy to have them in the ACP webinar. And I'm starting a ACP certification program as well as a class. So I like to see if we can be get the exam done before 8th of November, because that's where the exam is changing. PMI changing the exam structure. So if you are planning, get it done sooner. And I'm assuming the exam later on going to be more complex than it is now. Anyway, so you have lots of things. And Sarah, anything else you like to talk? Any last minute thing? So
No, this was great. I'm very open to having other discussions. If anyone wants to message me on LinkedIn, yeah, I'm here, I'm available, and I cannot recommend the PGMP course that Durham runs more highly.
yeah, I tell you, I cannot recommend Dharam's program. Sorry, high more. I have to hear everything. So
Yeah.
thank you for your trust in the whole program. So it's an honor for me to be part of your journey and 515 PGMPs and 148 PFMPs. I'm waiting to hear two more successes so that I can celebrate my 150 PFMP. Yay! And others there, RMP and PBA and many other courses. Anyway, enough about me and enough about my courses. Thank you, Sarah, for your contribution. It was so awesome. You were openly sharing and discussing what worked for you, what did not work for you, and uh, and I'm sure people listening today they found the discussion very useful. Uh, Please continue to join. Happy to have you on the discussions, and who knows, you will be sitting in front of me just like Sarah. So please reach out to me. Dharam, I want to be part of your webinar groups. Why not? Happy to have you here. So thank you, Sarah, one more time, and appreciate all the contribution, and good luck to you for your
Thank you.
new bike.
Thanks.
And thank you guys. Take care. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your day, whatever wherever you are. Bye now.
See ya.